Hi everyone, in today's video I will be explaining the chemistry behind baking cookies because who doesn't love a perfect cookie? And I chose to do this because if you ever have baked cookies before, you are probably wondering why or how some batches turn out better than others, and I'm here to explain that today. So without further ado, let's get baking. So to start off with, I already set out my ingredients. So first I have the recipe right here. We're going to need 2 types of sugar. We're going to need granulated sugar, and that will be 3/4 of a cup. We need brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup. We need 1 large egg, have it right here. And next we need unsalted butter, and make sure that it's unsalted so you don't add any more salt content than the recipe calls for. We need baking soda, which is only 1 teaspoon because it's very reactive and it'll work, trust me. And we need all-purpose flour, 2 1/4 cups of this. We need salt, 1/2 teaspoon. And we need vanilla extract, just a little bit, 1 teaspoon will do the job. And of course, our chocolate chips. So I think I'm gonna add about 2 cups, but you can add however much you would like, however chocolate you would like your cookies, because this is for pure flavor and this has nothing to do with the chemical reaction that is about to take place. So first, I'm going to preheat my oven to 375 degrees. And the temperature does affect how your cookies bake, so it affects the texture, thickness, and how evenly the edges brown. So you want to make sure that the oven is hot enough. So here, I'm going to set the oven. I'll turn the camera for you guys. So bake 375, and we're going to wait for that as we mix our other ingredients. So first we're going to mix our ingredients together. So we have the sugars, our butter, an egg, and our vanilla extract. So we're going to start off with the sugar, the dry ingredients. So we need 3/4 cup of the granulated sugar. And I already put some in there, so that's 3/4 of a cup. And now we're going to take our brown sugar. And we're creating a homogeneous mixture so that the composition is uniform throughout. And so the dough is consistent all throughout, and you get a nice cookie in every scoop. Okay, so as I'm adding this brown sugar is more for the caramelization of the cookie so that you get a richer, nutty flavor. And I'll explain caramelization a little bit more during the baking process. Okay, so now it's time for the egg, and let's hope this cracks right. Boom. Okay, so the egg is placed in there so that the water content in the egg can dissolve some of the larger sugar crystals, and so they won't be so big in the dough or the cookie. And there's also protein, my oven's ready. There's also protein in the egg white that contributes to the baking process. And soon I will be adding the butter, so that's the next step. And now I'm getting my butter ready, so I need 1 cup, so that means that I'm going to be using 2 of these sticks, unsalted butter, and I will be melting a little bit more so that it is more of a room temperature, and so it will make the dough less thick, and it will make for more of a consistent, homogeneous mixture, because keep in mind that the temperature always matters in this chemical reaction. So it will make the cookies more smooth and better in the end. So now we will be adding this to the mixture. So let me get a spoon. the fat within the eggs and the butter helps the mix spread more evenly and mix more easily throughout. And it also affects the texture and the end product. So now I'm adding in my vanilla extract, so 1 teaspoon, and there's half. And this will give a lot of flavor to the cookies. Okay, so after you've mixed all these ingredients together, you want to stop so you don't beat the eggs too much to where they lose their protein content. So now we're going to add in some more ingredients. So we're going to add in our all-purpose flour, which to me is the most important ingredient because it determines the chewiness of the cookie. Flour contains gluten, which forms when flour is mixed with water, and it activates then. So that is important. We also have our baking soda, which is important because it lets the cookies rise in the oven. I'll explain that more later. And we have our salt, which slows the decomposition of the baking soda so that the bubbles within the cookies are controlled. So now I am adding my flour. I'm getting last fourth. And this is the sticky and stretchy protein that is found in wheat. So this will really make the dough be able to spread out. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. That's it. Half a teaspoon of salt. Now time for the best part, the chocolate chips. So the recipe says to add about 2 cups, but you can add however much you like because these are just for enjoyment and your taste. Yum. Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna place the cookie dough onto the pan, and I would suggest doing an ungreased pan because if you grease it, you could add more fat, affecting how the dough cooks in the oven. So you wanna do this about 2 inches apart, but the size does matter because if you have cookies that are too large, the interior won't bake, and if you have ones that are too small, they may end up being too hard. So you want them to be apart so that they can spread. Now we're gonna pop these in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, but I suggest that you monitor your cookies because all ovens vary, and you just wanna bake them until they're a light golden brown. So as the cookies are baking, let's talk about the process of the cookies rising. So the baking soda that I added earlier will turn into carbon dioxide and water, so carbon dioxide gas and water vapor, or tiny gas bubbles once heated, which will cause the cookies to rise. And it also will prevent the cookies from becoming too dense. While the salt slows down the decomposition of baking soda so that the bubbles can be controlled within the cookies. And finally, the butter within the mixture is an emulsion, meaning that the water and the fat within the butter don't want to stay together. As the butter melts, the dough ball spreads and loses its initial structure. The water from the butter is released as a steam, and the fat coats the gluten to prevent the formation of huge cookies. Now let's talk about the heat within the oven. So the heat also changes the shapes of the molecules within the butter, egg yolk, and flour. The gluten from the flour forms a polymer that reacts with the protein from the egg white and the emulsifier from the egg yolk to form the dough and support the bubbles. Heat breaks the sugar or the sucrose that we initially added into simple sugars such as glucose and fructose, which gives each cookie a golden brown crust. This is called caramelization, which contributes to the browning and rich flavoring. So it gives it a rich, nutty flavor, it's really yummy, and it is the process of removal of water from that sucrose. And my cookies are ready, so that took about 8 minutes. So now it's time to take them out of the oven. They're nice and brown at the edges. And there they are. And if you don't take them off of the tray immediately, they will continue the baking process, becoming more caramelized with a lot of flavor. But I want to remove them, so here we go. And here we are. The process of baking is a series of chemical reactions that turns ingredients into a final edible product. So what I just facilitated in the oven was an endothermic reaction. So the cookie dough took in heat and it formed into cookies. So I hope you guys better understand the process of baking and treat yourself to a treat sometime soon. Enjoy!